All right, Panther Lair, we are continuing our conversation about the zoom actions that the Pittsburgh Panthers have been using through their first 4 games of the season. And this time we are going to talk about a completely new wrinkle, at least one that's jumping out way more on tape in the early part of this season, and that is a twist variant to their zoom alignment. So this is something I saw when they played Binghamton, and they went back to it the very next game a few times against Florida Gulf Coast. So let's dive in and talk about what this looks like. Now, one of the things that makes this zoom action a little bit more distinguishable is that Federico and Hinson almost start in like a stack when these plays begin, and then Hinson just kind of goes over the top and then just runs out here to the wing. So as he does that, now we get into our 5-out. And so when Carrington dumps the ball in here, he's going to immediately set this screen. So it kind of like runs into zoom action. And the twisting element here, why this is a zoom twist, is that Hinson is going to twist around the first screen here. So this is going to be a read for Federico. You know, Hinson can come and just flat out get the ball here into zoom, although that's going to kind of be weird because that's going to send him into kind of this wing corner area. The fact that this happens in the middle of the floor is predominantly designed so that he can twist this and then get released into the middle of the floor, not to release him to the outside towards the sideline. So you see Carrington flows in the screen, and this is going to be the twisting action here. Carrington's defender drops a little bit on this. I think that kind of may be something that you'll see teams defend it as, but he looks to catch up here, and so now Hinson's guy's completely in a trailing position. Federico may have been able to go into here. I'm not really sure. I think Hinson has a mismatch here. If you saw in the last clip, Hinson draws a foul on this out of another kind of a zoom action that we talked about. But this ends up going into the 2-man game that I talked about here at the top of the circle. It's just a high ball screen involving Bub, and there's far worse things that the Panthers can do. Ends up as 2 points. So see, here we go into the Florida Gulf Coast. Same alignment. I told you that kind of Hinson will start out here. He'll flare out to this wing, which allows Carrington to dump the ball into Federico on the opposite wing. He'll come in. This will morph into zoom action. But Hinson kind of takes a wide angle here, kind of comes out behind the 3-point line. Perhaps if the screen's really good, he can just shoot the 3-pointer, because you'll see that Carrington's man dumps off here to kind of prevent any middle penetration action, also to allow maybe screen navigation. But instead, Hinson dribbles in and ends up just kind of settling for a long 2. So I think this is going to be an example of the most optimal. Again, here Hinson comes out of that little stack almost, goes to this wing, gets dumped in on the opposite wing. Carrington runs in the screen, so you'll see Carrington's defender just hugs to him. Late recognition. Good pass by Jorge. I think the Diaz-Graham twins might be set up a little bit better than Federico to make a confident pass into here, and this ends up as a foul. So this is a little bit more of the traditional zoom that we're used to seeing here at the end of the game, but he's still going to have the twisting action. You're going to see that the twisting action is going to come off this initial screen. He's going to try to cut here. I think this works. I mean, this just kind of functions a little bit like a backdoor cut. Instead of going this way, you're just going to cut between these 2 defenders. But you'll see that this doesn't really end up as anything. I think the defense does a good job of temporarily switching this, which basically doesn't allow a pass into Hinson, so Jorge makes the right read, tries to come back out to Bub. I think the issue here is that because this defender played this initially really well, that this is going to be a tough pass to make. I think what can happen here in the future is just a little bit extra time. You could just throw the ball into Hinson. He has 2 feet in the paint. Maybe Carrington kind of flares back out into here, and then Jorge just maybe can go one-on-one. So there's other options here. This resulted in a turnover, but the reason I'm showing it is because, again, there's the twisting action, but they tried to run the twisting action to come more from kind of the lower wing out of the corner, as opposed to setting it up here at the top, and I thought that was interesting, and maybe we'll see if the Panthers come back to that.